wanted to go ahead and come in and do our end of June wrap up. So June was a good month. I feel like I got a lot of reading done. Didn't quite get as much done as I want, but that's okay. So firstly, I want to talk about what I'm most excited about. So June was the first month for my Read Your Special Editions challenge that I'm doing over on Storygraph. And I had drawn Book of Nightmares by Rebecca Schaefer. It is a YA urban fantasy in which literal nightmares come to life. So if you have a dream, a scary dream, like our main character's sister did, she became a man-eating spider and devoured her father. So the premise of the book was so good. I was loving it. I was actually pretty hooked considering it was an urban fantasy, but I ran into some character classifications that just did not at all work with me. Character descriptions and the language relating to them. I did end up DNFing that at 53%. So that is one Fairy Loot edition that is being sold. Try and save for the day bad. And that was February's YA book for 2022. As an additional bonus prompt, I ended up reading Book of Night by Holly Black. This is another urban fantasy book. It is adults, and that was the adult book for May 2022 for Fairy Loot. And it is a urban fantasy in which shadow magic exists. So real life human shadows can be controlled and sent off to do evil things and become their own entities. And our main character has been a con artist all of her life, and she tries to go on the straight and narrow and ends up getting pulled back into it to deal with the villain from her childhood. And there is a little bit of a romantic element, and it was good. I really loved all the characters. So that has joined my keep shelf, and it is going to go ahead and start my Holly Black section because I'm currently waiting for my copy of The Stolen Heir to come. So they'll join each other on the shelf. So I ended up giving that a 4.25. So I ended up reading Violet Made of Thorns. So this was just an incidental pickup. I was feeling very slumpy, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I ended up going through some romantic fantasy picks from my library, and they suggested this book, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pick it up. So I ended up picking it up and tearing through it. So this is a YA fantasy in which we have Violet, who is a seer for the king of the kingdom. When she was little, so she was an orphan, and when she was little, she had a vision over and over and over again in which she saved this little boy who was going to be trampled by a horse. So she went to the spot where the trampling was going to occur, day after day after day after day, and she ended up saving the little boy. Come to find out, that was the prince of the kingdom, named Prince Cyrus. Lots of Cyruses this month. Anyway, so she ended up saving him, and his father, the king, of course, took her in right away because every powerful king wants to have a seer. She is raised alongside the prince and his sister, the princess, inside the castle. So the king has had her for so long. Back up. Cyrus is a cursed prince, let me say that. He has always, the last seer for the kingdom before she died, said that the prince would have to find his true love in order to break the curse that would destroy the kingdom and the world. So he has been cursed his whole life to try and find his true love, and his father, the king, and Violet, the seer, are working together to try and find Cyrus just someone to marry so that the curse can not come true. But, well, come to find out, lots of romance, he's in love with her. It was so good. So good. So, I thought it was going to be a 5-star because the characters are so good. The banter was so hilarious. There were so many times that I was just laughing my ass off reading it. The angst was so good. And Violet is such a badass. She is very scared to love. She's scared to open up. She's very self-protective. She never wants to be on the street again. So she does everything she can. But by the end, she didn't quite develop enough for me. I wanted to see a little bit more development, so that's the only reason I didn't give 5 stars. Let me get the copy. I can show you. So here is my beautiful copy. There is Faye in it. Any story that has Faye, is going to hook me. So A Violet Made of Thorns was the August 2022 YA fairy loot book. So it is by Gina Chen. We have the beautiful stencil edgy. Let's see if we have any cover art. No cover art. But we do have this beautiful, we have the cityscape, and that's Violet's tower, the Seer's Tower. How beautiful. And then there's Violet's. Isn't she beautiful? I really need to get better cameras. Own little bookmark. It's own little bookmark. And there's Cyrus. What a babe. What a babe. Prince Cyrus. So good. So good. I am glad I accidentally picked this up. We are getting these fairy loot books. We are getting these fairy loot books off of our shelf. So this will definitely be a keep, and I will be keeping my eyes open for fairy loot to release a second edition, the second book in the series that matches this one, and I will be buying it. So that was cool. We got technically three special editions done. 2 to keep, 1 to sell. In total this month, I ended up finishing 6 books. I ended up picking up the audiobook for The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. It was my first reread. It was 5 out of 5 stars. It was just as incredible as it was the first time I read it. It is a story about stories. That's the only way I can really talk about it. The love stories and the characters and the amount of time, and it is just incredibly beautiful. I will be rereading that, and I will be keeping my eye holes open for a special edition of that to add to my collection. So the next book I finished was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It is the first of the Stormlight Archives. It was my first reread. So, and I did that part way on my Kindle and part way audiobook. It was fun to reread it because I feel like I had missed so much the first time around. And of course, I love all the characters, all the villains. I think the villains are some of my favorite. As I've already read everything up to Rhythm of War, Cosmere related, it was a good it was a good refresh, and so I'm excited. So I'm working on Words of Radiance this month. In June and July, I've been working on Words of Radiance via audiobook. We are going to continue taking it slow, and I hope to just be through Rhythm of War by the end of the year. So we still got half the year, so we can take this at a slow pace. So next, kittens are playing. So next, I read These Infinite Threads by Tahereh Mafi, and this is the second book in this Woven Kingdom trilogy. I think it's a trilogy, maybe a series. The first being This Woven Kingdom. And the premise of This Woven Kingdom is that we have a lost princess. She has been lost to the world. Some believe that she exists. Some believe that she no longer exists. She's a lost Djinn princess. And she has an incredibly hard life. She is just trying to survive so that she can save her people. We also have a prince of the most powerful kingdom in the land named Cormorant, and he does not want to be a ruler. But since his birth, it has been prophesied that there would be a magical ice-wielding woman that he would fall in love with that would ruin the kingdom. And there they are, and they end up meeting and going through it, and lots of love, lots of angst, and at the end of the book, the prince of the warring kingdom ends up coming and stealing Eliza away to his kingdom. And that is Prince Cyrus, and he is hot. He is a hot babe. So, in the second book, These Infinite Threads, which is the follow-up, I won't give too much information, but it is literally just a book of flowery writing, so much angst and hot Cyrus, and that's really it. I don't think if our plot progressed anywhere, I do not know. I didn't see it. But I did end up giving it a 4.25 because I devoured it, and I am hands down moving on to the next one when it comes out. The next book that I read, and I read it super quickly, is Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is a upper YA fantasy romance, and within it we have a little girl who was taken in by the king of the Nightborn vampires. And she was raised constantly in fear, taught how to fight because she was a human. And she ends up entering this magical contest that happens every 100 years. And the winner of the contest gets to choose a wish to have the goddess Neaxia grant for her. We end up meeting another contestant named Rain, another contestant named Miche, and they all three team up to go ahead and do the team portion of this competition. So there is, of course, a love match and so much political play. You know, we have the different types of vampires, the different courts, the different lords. Everybody's trying to have their contestants win. It's very violent. It's very bloody. But what really sealed this for me was two things. First was I haven't read a vampire book that I've enjoyed in so long. So that was the first one. The vampires are incredible. They're beautiful. Some have feathered wings and some have bat-like wings and all the different courts. And I love a political play in a fantasy. And then what also got me was how well these characters were developed and how believable they were. This is a series of 3 duologies. Not sure what the other 2 duologies contain, but I am currently reading the second book to the first duology, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. And I'm currently into that, and we're going to be moving on. So that, I don't know if I said, but I ended up giving that a 4.5 stars. So now we're going to talk about the 2 books I have DNF'd this month. Is The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. This is an adult historical fiction book. It centers around our character Lavinia, who was orphaned after she arrived on a ship coming from Ireland. She was taken in to a kitchen house on a plantation, into the kitchen house, and has been raised amongst the slaves. She has, of course, white skin, and she ends up getting pulled into the big house to be a servant in there. And within her being pulled into there, her life starts to change. She is struggling with the hardship that her family that is within the kitchen house and the slave quarters and all the trauma that you can imagine within that, slavery in the American South. And her new different kind of super privileged life, being a servant / friend to the children up in the big house. There is nothing wrong with this book. The writing is incredible. The story is incredible. It's heartfelt. It is emotional. You laugh and you feel so enraptured, like you're part of the story. I don't like historical fictions. I don't know why I keep trying to pick it up. It's the same thing with contemporary romance. I get a wild hair and then I end up DNFing them. I'm going to DNF this at 18%, get it off of my list. The next one that I am going to DNF is one I'm really sad about because I wanted to love it so much. But I am going to DNF the Traitor Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. So June was a really great month. I am looking forward to July. I want to get some reading done, want to get some pages done, and see what we can do. I have a feeling that I'm starting to get in the groove with the vlog, so hopefully those will get better. Oh, speaking of, I am going to finish the 3rd book in my first secret project reading challenge. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. I've been working on it since May. And this is another actually Fairy Loot collection I have purchased, and I'm excited. It's going really well. So I'm hoping to share that with you guys by the end of July so we can move on to our next one, which will not be a secret, but whatever. So I will be working on that this month as well. I'm sure I will pick up about 1 million books I will start and not finish, but hopefully we get some really great ones that can suck me in. So I'm excited. I will see you guys around. Please check out the Storygraph link in the description and go ahead and join us to read your special editions because you're spending the money. You might as well read it. All right. I'll see you guys later.